Hey guys, and welcome to the LPAP Gov Review Series. I'm Mr. C, and hopefully getting you ready to ace that AP exam coming up here in May. So whether you're in my class right now, making sure everything that you are learning stays fresh, or if you were in my class last semester and you are starting to jump back into the material so that you are ready to go in May, welcome. Let's jump right in. All right, here we go. Today I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the actual test itself. The more information you have about the test, the better prepared you're going to feel, and the better prepared you feel, the more confident you're going to feel, and the more you get the picture. We're looking for those threes, we're looking for those fours and fives on the exam. So let's take a look at what we are dealing with. All right, here's the breakdown of the exam. The exam itself is worth 120 points. 60 of those points are going to come from multiple choice questions, just like we've had in the classroom. 60 of those are going to come from free response questions, just like we've had in the classroom, simple enough. Your goal is to pick out points wherever you can get them. Think of it as collecting coins in Super Mario Brothers almost, okay? Yes, you want to get to the end of the test so it can be over and you can get your teacher some ice cream, but let's make sure we don't leave any reachable coins on the test itself as well, okay? Okay, the rough, very rough actually, guidelines for the scoring break down like this. Now remember, the AP does not work on a firm grading scale, but rather has kind of a floating scale from year to year. But this should give you a rough estimate of how many coins we need to pick up. So as you can see, our score ranges here. For the AP exam, we're going to, like I said, we had 120 points possible. For us to get that 5 or above, we're looking for a 90 to 120. That's for our 5. So that's only a 75% is what we're looking for. To get that 4, a 75 to an 89. So our minimum is around 62%. And to pick up that 3, we're looking at 60 to a 74 for points, and that is about a 50% at our minimum. So I did not misspeak. Studies of past grading scale show that about 75% on the exam will get you that 5. Most of you, with studying and some dedication and really working, are absolutely capable of achieving that. The other thing to note is that you only need to acquire that 50% mark in order to get a 3. That is not a mistake either. It has floated a little higher in some years, but for the most part, 50% credit is what you want. Now, I know that you are each capable of that. I've seen your work. I know what you can do. I know that every single person in any of my classes can get a 50% on the AP exam. Now, you can see why it is so important to pick up each and every coin. We go back to that Super Mario's example. Every single coin that you can. Never leave a question blank. Never skip a part of a free response. It all ends up in the end to a score that's going to be a little bit higher. If you can just pick up 1 point here or 1 point there, you're going to be better off, guys. Okay, so what about the test itself? How is it broken down? A lot of tips I'm going to give you today come from the Crash Course study book. It's a really good tool. It's super cheap. Amazon usually has it for around $5. Look it up, check it out. It's worth it. Anyway, in the book they mentioned that it would be nearly impossible to study for the AP exam if you didn't know about the exam itself, and that's completely true. After all, look at the size of the textbook that we lose. You're not going to cram using our textbook, right? And so what we want to do is we want to look at the test itself and how does it normally break down. How do we study for the exam? So let's look at, this is straight from the AP, this is exactly what they tell us, and so you know and we know right straight out of the gate, here's what we really truly need to study ahead of time so we can be successful on that AP exam. Okay, here's our breakdown. The Constitution and Federalism, chapters 1 through 3, that's 5 to 15% of the exam. Political beliefs, public opinion, and voting, chapters 6, 9, and 10, that's 10 to 20% of the exam. Political parties, interest groups, and mass media is 10 to 20% of the exam. That's chapters 7, 8, and 11. The three branches of government, so Congress, president and then the Supreme Court, and the bureaucracy, so 12, 13, 15, and 16 is 35 to 45%. That's our big one. That's the one we want to highlight here. And then public policy and the budget, chapters 14, 17, 18, 19, and 20 is 5 to 15%. Civil liberties and civil rights is 5 to 15% as well. Those are in chapter 4 and 5. Okay, so if we look at this, 60 questions for multiple choice. Let's just take the multiple choice. We'll ignore the free response for just a minute. If we just look at the multiple choice, almost one half of them are going to come about the institutions of government. So why spend hours and hours and hours studying public policy when there's a chance that only 5% of the questions are going to come from here? So know what you're going to study ahead of time. Look at what you need to study. Look at what you know is going to be on this test. If they only have 5%, that's only 3 questions. 3 questions. And so you're leaving 57 to chance. Let's take a look and let's study what we know the most. And so let's go ahead, and we know that the institutions of government is going to cover up to 27 of the 60 questions. That's 27 points right there. Okay? Now we only have to get 33 more instead of 57 more. So use your time wisely, study what you know is going to be more on the test, and then you can fill in the rest and hopefully remember a few things from class as well and fill in with your with the knowledge that you already have in your heads. So study what you know will be there, and if there's time, study what might be there. Okay, so let's pick up the free response questions. So if you've noticed by now, all the free response questions we do in the classroom come straight from the AP exams, straight from the past AP exams. You have access to these exams right now. Every single AP test, all the way back to the 1990s, has the free response questions right there for you to check out. There's the link for it right here. Because of this, you have incredible resources to use to study. While the AP teachers can't tell you exactly what's going to be on the test in May, we do have some access, and we can look at these themes and the major priorities of past exams and kind of guide you to help, like we keep saying, to pick up these coins. And that's what these videos will hopefully help you to do. They should help you streamline the study so that you can focus your energies on the important stuff. So the Crash Course book has analyzed past AP exams for us, so we don't have to take care of that. And they have found that while not all questions do, most of the questions are going to fall into 3 clusters, as they call them, and that's going to be the Congress and the presidency. And so by far the most questions of the exams in past years have fallen into those 2. Okay, so Congress and presidency. The next most is Supreme Court, civil liberties and civil rights. Okay, those are going to mix together a little bit, and if you haven't had that in class yet, you're going to see those 2 units almost go hand in hand, the Supreme Court and the civil liberties and civil rights, but there are things that separate them as well. But we're going to look at 30 court cases that you're going to know. If you know those 30 court cases, you should be gold going forward, so you shouldn't have to worry about some obscure court case somewhere that's going to pop up on a free response question. Shouldn't happen. We're going to look at some landmark cases instead. And then we're going to look through kind of the miscellaneous, is where everything else is going to land. And so we have 20 topics that are the most common themes that we're going to see on the AP exam. And so we're going to take a look at those through our journey together leading up to May. So as you can see in our weeks leading up to the exam, we've got some work to do, but together we can get this done. And so we're going to look at those 3 themes: Congress and the presidency, Supreme Court, civil liberties, civil rights, and then kind of look at our 20 topics and check it out and say, all right, what's going to be on this exam? We can tell that from looking at past exams, and we can really pick up some useful information. So let's go ahead and jump in and look at some more how can we be successful on the test type stuff. So let's go down that road right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at the multiple choice portion. Again, 60 questions, 45 minutes, just like we've practiced in class. You're going to see several types of multiple choice questions on the exam. So let's take a look at each kind really quickly here. First type, what we're going to see is simple definition. An example might be, what type of bill covers a number of diverse topics? Looking at the choices, you've got several terms that you should already know. Remember, I keep reminding you that vocab is crucial on this exam. So we select the answer D, omnibus bill. If you truly dedicate yourself to the vocab work, these questions should be easy coins along the way. Pick them up as you go. Good to go. Our next question type is conceptual. These will call on you to compare and contrast, possibly require a deeper understanding, or even they're going to cross a few parts of the curriculum so that you've got to think a little bit on these. An example might be, which of the following regarding the Supreme Court's interpretation of free speech is true? You'd answer E, when petitioned, the Supreme Court has tended to restrain speech. In order to get this correct, you would need an understanding of, first, what is protected speech, as well as how the court has ruled in past cases. So you've got to have a deeper understanding in order to be able to pull these out and answer them correctly. Okay, our next type is the reverse multiple choice question. The College Board tries to capitalize the key word for you in these questions, usually not, except, or least. So these will make up about 10% of your multiple choice questions. So be careful with these. That's 6 coins, right? Here you are finding an incorrect answer. So for example, low voter turnout can be attributed to all of the following except. And we answer A, an aging America, because that's right. We know that older Americans tend to vote more often. Our next type is the Roman numerals list. These questions will ask you to choose one or more items from a list. For example, which of the following are linkage institutions? And you've got 4 choices there: the House of Representatives, the presidency, interest groups, and the Democratic Party. You'd want to examine each of these and select E, groups 3 and 4. So make sure that you are careful here. This is a good time to maybe do some highlighting, or maybe not highlighting, but some circle some answers that you know are right, cross out answers that you know are wrong. Leave yourself with the best opportunity to get the correct answer. You'll also see questions with illustrations, usually graphs or tables, and you'll be asked to analyze the statistical data. Best advice I can give you here is to go slow. The answer is in front of you for these. You just have to find it. They're usually things that you don't have to study for. They're always over concepts that you should know. But for the most part, you have the answer right there in the graph or right there in the table. You just have to find it. So go slow, look at the whole thing, look at every answer type, and then move on. Same goes for our next type, the historical passage. You'll be asked to read a portion of a passage and answer questions about it. Again, go slow. The answer is almost always right in front of you. You don't have to bring a lot of background knowledge generally to these. These should almost always be automatic coins for you, so don't leave them behind. Don't go too quick and think you know what you're doing right away. Jump in, go slow, get to the other side and get your coin. Finally, look out for these 2 keywords: always and never. Be cautious here. These are trap words. Always read these questions more than once and make sure you know the answer. Remember, if it feels like a trap, it probably is. And so make sure that you're choosing the correct answer. Make sure that you know exactly what they're asking for. If it says always or if it says never, chances are they're trying to trick you into picking that one answer when maybe they're looking for you to do another one. So watch for those traps. Okay, that's it for the multiple choice section. So let's hit the free response questions and call it a night. I know a lot of you attended my FRQ workshop, so I won't go through everything here, but take these tips to heart. You can truly swing your grade one way or another by taking these tips or leaving them. So first, and this should go without saying, but because it's me, it's not going to go unsaid. Don't leave anything blank in the FRQ section. At least try. You never know when you're going to back your way into a correct answer. Give it a shot. Even if you have no idea what you're talking about, give it a shot. You never know. Next, read everything first, then read it again. When you're done doing that, read it again. Okay? And then when you're done doing that, read it one more time. Okay? Circle your action words as you go. I like to think of the FRQ prompt as a to-do list. In your notes, jot down a quick to-do list. Just in your margin somewhere, write down the list that you have to do. Define, identify, explain. you know you have 5 tasks to do, so it's going to be 5-point question. As you do each task, you can tick off each one, almost like you're at a grocery store and selecting nutty bars and all kinds of other unhealthy stuff for your teacher. Okay, so you go in, you tick off each one, and when you're done, and you know you're done. Next, make sure you understand the action words. List and define are going to be shorter answers. Describe and explain are going to need some depth. So remember, we gave everybody the sheet of what you should be expecting from your action words, but go back and look over those, okay? If you see describe, if you see discuss, you see explain, reword the prompt as the first sentence, and then write a small paragraph to make sure that you are closing that paragraph off and answering everything that they need you to answer. Okay, finally, reread your prompt and reread your question. It really will help. You have plenty of time for the FRQs. Use all the time. If you don't, it's not like you can just get out your phone and be playing a game or anything, right? Use the time and sit there and actually get something out of it, all right? Reread what you wrote to make sure you actually did what it asked you to do. Too often I'll see kids write this great description of the characteristics of a term, but they never get around to defining it, and that's what the prompt asked them to do. It's obvious you know the answer, but you didn't do what the prompt asked you to do, and therefore you don't get the points. Make sure you take your time, reread, and you'll have solid FRQs. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to dive into the content, starting with Constitution and Federalism, which makes up, again, 5 to 15% of the test, right? If you have any questions about the test itself, or if you want me to address anything in particular with the Constitution and Federalism next week, go ahead and shoot me a Twitter, email me, just swing by 119, do whatever you need to do to get that information to me, and I'll make sure to take care of it for next week's video. Outside of that, have a great night, guys.